So hi everybody, today we're going to begin our new project, which is the $400 and under competition grade level RC chassis. Now for this series of video, we're going to be doing two type of car, which is touring car and four-wheel drive buggy, electric four-wheel drive 110, both 110. And I was able to find two cars that is under $400 that is relatively interesting. Now we don't know how is the result, but at least we'll be trying it out and give it a test in different track condition, different type of track, and to see how good these $400 under competition chassis hold up against some of the bigger names. With the first car that we're going to be doing is the on-road side, would be the touring car. It's going to be the Xpress XQ10. Now, the XQ10, I believe, came, I would say, with 2-3 years of history with the XQ1, which is a rear motor car. The XQ10 is now the mid motor. They also refined some, I would say, bulkhead designs and stuff, and also plastic. Now, this car is a lot more traditional type of car compared to my previous 4X, Serpent 4X and Serpent X20. Now, those two cars was great. The X20 now is pretty up to speed. And in comparison, I would say using that car as a base to compare it to the performance of, I would say, a high-end, more expensive of a car, this will be a great comparison. So with this video, hopefully we will be able to find out if there's a good buy for a customer out there, and hopefully we find another great car out there to buy.
So right off the bat, I following the instruction manual and begin building the car. The instruction manual is quite simple and easy to follow. I just follow the back numbers and letters and begin building the car. So far, I would say that the parts are laid out pretty clear, and the screw have its own bags. So you need to find the screws based on the instruction manual. But relatively, I would say that it's easy to follow. In this video, we're going to go over all the little small building details of what I found interesting on the car, and also some of the things that I would have done or what I think about it. We're going to go over all that. We're not going to be able to cover everything, but we're going to do our best to talk about it in this video. And then after that, I'm going to be doing a small test drive. And with the test drive of the initial feedback of the car being stock, we're going to see how the car will do. And then after that, in the future videos, we're going to go over the wear and tear, the maintenance, and the rest of the optional parts for this car. So let's check out the video.
Okay, so I just finished 2 of these turnbuckle. So my feedback to this is actually pretty good. For some reason, this, if you look at inside, you see how that it have a step inside. It almost feel that they pre-threaded the bulkhead itself. It's really easy to get it in very straight, which is very surprised. Look at how straight the bulkhead come out. Like, without me even trying, it go on pretty easily. So as soon as you put the turnbuckle in here, it go into the cup, like I would say maybe 1 millimeter, and then begin threading. So it guide the whole turnbuckle in relatively easy and straight. So right off the bat, the turnbuckle seems very decent quality and able to build pretty straight. So that was a good start. Okay, move on to the diff. The diff, the most outstanding part of the diff is actually this part, which is awesome because
the gasket actually stay in place with this little pointy thing. And every time you take it out, you don't need to worry about the gasket get lost or move into different location. So you always, technically you never need to change the gasket, I believe, because of this design. So that's actually pretty good. Now they use the X-ring. Now don't know how good the X-ring is, but let's test it out. Something new. And it's much softer than the Serpent one. And then yeah, everything else is relatively normal, same. So let's build this. Okay, so I just built the Diff as is, and the O-ring is in and everything. So we're just going to do the 1.3 gram like the instructions say and see what it come out. Okay, 1.3 gram. It's in. This is how full it is. And the stock bottle, the original is 5K, so we're going to check it with the Diff checker to see where it's at. Okay, so I finished the Diff, 1.3 gram with 5,000. Let's see what number it come up with. Okay, so this is instantly 2300. 2300, wow. This is like almost like a 7 or 8K. So I would say that the first thing I would do is first you have the break-in. For my modify, it's okay, but maybe I would consider taking some oil out, because for 5K it should be right around 1900 or 2000 range, or maybe less, like 1800. So this is definitely very stiff. Okay, so the spool is relatively simple. I think if almost like an X-ray feel, because it's just one screw going in the cup, and the cup is steel. Actually nothing really special. Now you need to glue this ring on, and you see the dimples, and you just slide it in, put some glue there, and you're set. So the spool is relatively simple. It's heavy on the outdrive but light in the center. Now of course I'm sure they come out with optional outdrive. I wonder if the X-ray one fit also. Okay, so the next part is the spur gear and the center pulley. Now the spur gear look very beefy and it's wide. Look very good. The spur gear is for sure something that is quite nice. Now the pulley, I do like the L Max and the Serpent better, because at least we have a clip to clip in as a whole assembly. Now with this one, it's just push in. Where hole? I have no idea. So after we finish building it and we test it on the track, we will find out. Okay, with the screw and the shaft in, yeah, I mean, it works. Just like that, it's like a sandwiched. Much easier to change spur gear for sure. But will it hold up? This is something we have to find out at the track. Okay, so now the servo crank and the servo mount is set and built. Nothing special. Oh, there's a place for it here so that you can push against the battery. That's good. And then the crank is all aluminum. No need to upgrade from plastic. And the play is actually pretty good. There's no play. It's pretty good. So yeah, relatively normal, I would say very standard stuff now, with all these already option parts in the kit. Okay, so now we come down to the motor mount of the chassis now. So right off the bat, the motor mount, holy cow, it's actually a pretty big motor mount compared to my old car, you know, the X20. They're very similar design though, but there's one thing that is really different is first, that slot. The adjustment that you can do with how forward, how backward the motor can go. This slot is huge. This is number one. Number two, it's not one piece here. I personally think that one piece design, like the LMX one, will be better. I think that will be a little bit more consistent. It won't have an effect of extra stuff to come off. But yeah, this beautiful motor mount. One really standout part is you have to be able to really see it is they made it just a little bit higher right there, you can see, so your ESC wire can pass through. That's pretty amazing. This is actually quite interesting and smart design on the motor mount. So you don't need to run the wire all the way above the motor and whatnot. This is awesome because you can have a clean wire without, you know, like making the performance or anything. It's just overall it's cool because you have that freaking space for the wire. Pretty cool right there. And then the next is this. Holy cow, this brace. I think on a lot of cars is optional, and on this car is actually standard. And they made it so that it's a step up, so you can use it as the brace in the center only, or you can tighten the side in the back right here. You can flip it also, I think. Yep, you can flip it also. Wow. So without the spacer, you can actually do it without the spacer. Okay, this is a cool option part. I don't think necessary all the time you need to use it, but it's good to have in the kit. Okay, the motor mount is in, all good. Next is the bulkhead. There's a left and a right bulkhead. I think the only difference is the flange where the bearing is. I wonder why they have to do this. Oh, I guess just to save the cost of a flange bearing. But if that's the case, I wonder if you can flip the bulkhead on each side and put the collar in the inside for the straight bar. Well, we'll find out later. Okay, there's the inserts. I think they are exactly the same as X-ray. I think so. Okay, and then the mount. They're all the same, all four is the same. So the only thing that have left and right is the bulkhead. Okay. Okay, so we get to this part. I put the diff in, put the spool in, put the diff in. Okay, the next thing we need to take a look is the belt tension. I had to move it from a little bit. The stock belt tension is a little safe, it's a little tight, so I had to do some adjustment. And notice I put a marking on the belt collar, whatever tension adjust thing. This, I put a marking. The initial marking is right there. I put a white dot, and then on the other side I also put one marking because this is to be able to adjust the low position and the high position. So I'm going to start off with the high position. Okay. And now this is the ear that go onto the bulkhead on the side for the camber link. The back seems to be longer like this, and the front should be like this. Instantly I can tell they want a shorter camber link in the rear and a longer camber link in the front. And of course you can make it shorter by shimming it out. So remember the direction, don't mix them. I think that this is one of the thing that you need to pay attention from the manual right here. Okay, cool. Let me put it on. Okay, upper deck on. Everything seems okay. Nothing special at this point. You know, I put this on. Everything go together pretty good. Okay, we get to the arms. The arm look like a normal arm. Pretty stiff. Okay, you do the drop test on sound. Pretty plastic. Very standard stuff. Maybe good for just bashing, not gonna break. The steering knuckle, they did this so that they can adjust the Ackerman later. You can put I believe XQ1 have a carbon plate and now they have a plastic. This is good because in the future if the steering Ackerman needs to be changed, that can be easily done. The C-hub, very plasticky. And then the drive shaft is pre-built, pre-lube, pre-built. It's pretty good. I don't think the steel is going to break, so that's good. That's a good thing. Okay, so during a test, it's good. No reaming needed. Pretty tight. That's good. Okay, so now fast forward to this point. Nothing special. I just put it together. Minimum play. Everything is free. Look at this. Yeah, I really didn't need to do so much. I mean, pretty okay together. I thought the plastic can be a little bit stiffer, but this is pretty good. For anybody that will crash, I think this is going to be pretty beefy for that. Yeah, the car put together pretty good. No extra shim or anything so far. Okay, so when we get to the rear drive shaft, it is fully built, just like the front one. But then, I noticed we need to put the blades on. And there's a set screw right there. So with this process, basically you take off the set screw, you take the pin out, you put the blades on, and then you put the set screw back on. Now the set screw, you need to Loctite it, which I found out later that, crap, I forgot to check the front. And okay, when I take off the drive shaft in the front and checked it, and the set screw was loose. So I had to Loctite it, tighten it back up. So this is pre-built, the drive shaft, but of course these are the stuff that you need to check. So when I did the rear now, I noticed this, I did the front again. So this is something you need to pay attention to. Okay, so after the drive shaft, we put the rear arm on. First thing that did not pass the test, the arm is tight. So this part we're going to need to do some sanding. I'm going to decide to sand the arm a little bit and free it up. So let me get to it. Okay, so after some sanding on the rear arms, there you go, it's all free, it's all good. So basically I just used sandpaper, took off this much, and all good. Perfect. So the back hub also has some problem. So it seems like we're going to need to sand something again to get it free. So I'm going to use the same method, I'm going to sand it. Okay, now after the sanding, all free, all good. Again, this sandpaper is the magic. Okay, so now we built the car, starting to look like a car. Everything is free, but perfect. Right here, I skipped the process of installing the sway bar, but there you go. That's the sway bar. Everything fit fine on the sway bar part, so there you go. So we move on to the shock. Oh, now I pre-cut the piston and the guide. They normally come like this. You just need to cut the flashing off and everything. There you go. I'm going to be using the 4-hole, and then I will be building the shock. Let me see how smooth the shock is. Let me check it out. Okay, so right away I put the piston onto the shock shaft, and dude, the fitment on this is actually pretty good. It's spin, but there's no play. So you don't need to put any shim on this. which a lot of sharks these days you need to put some shim, but this one you don't need to. That was really good. Okay, now the shark is on. The O-ring fitment is really nice. It's really smooth. I would say that this is actually very similar feel to the serpent core on the resistance on the O-ring and the shark shaft. The piston is a little bit bigger so that you have less play. I don't know if this is actually better or not, but it moved freely, so that's pretty good. So far the shark is pretty good. This is to show you how smooth the O-ring is. Hopefully it doesn't leak. Look at it. The piston is actually moving down. This is crazy. Wow, that's ultra smooth. Hopefully that O-ring is not bad and it doesn't leak, but this is really good. Okay, so this is the rebound of the shark after finished. I don't have any hole on the cap. There's a little bit, it's pretty good. Yep. So if I drilled the hole on the cap, it'll be even less of this. So pretty good. So after I finished building the shark, I went ahead and built the rest of the core together. It seems like there's nothing else special to the rest of the build. So I put the shark together, put the rest of the car together, and then it seems everything quite alright. So let's move on to the next part. Okay, so we're going to do some major fast forward here, and I already put the rest of the car together. As you see, the chassis is built, so what I did is I just going to skip the electronic install process, and now the car is ready for action, ready to go. So we finally get to drive this car after the long build. This is a Coil Spring RC Raceway. This is my home track and I always do my testing here. My X20 with the same tire, the Solaris 40 tires. My fastest lap is a 12.7, and during this video I was able to get a faster time of a 12.5, but it didn't go right out of the box and did it. I had to do some tweak, some very minor setup changes. I had to lighten the diff because remember the 2300 was really stiff, so when I drove on the track it really feels stiff. I have to also do some adjustment on the rear camber length, and all these settings that I did, there will be a setup sheet on PTRC for the Coil Spring track, and you can look for it on that and you will see it. So for further more of the setup changes and further more of wear and tear, be sure to check out the next video, and we will for sure talk about that in the near future.
Well.